Hello out there. My name is Laolu Akonde, and you are on to Inside. But here is my take for the week, entitled, Tell Our Leaders Accountability is Imperative. Here is a depiction of where things are today in Nigeria. There's hunger in the land. The mass majority of our people are suffering because of some of the tough but necessary actions of government. But the people see the president acquiring a new presidential jet. And this is repeated by other seeming acts of extravagance by many political leaders at various levels. So we wonder, do our own governments understand the imperative of accountability? It is essential to understand why no one is truly clever enough to escape accountability. Eventually, there is always going to be a reckoning for good or bad. For instance, a president's tenure is typically a 4-year term, extending at the most to 8 years if the president gets a second term. Now, we saw former President Obasanjo, who contemplated extending his tenure, but he faced the instant rejection from his own political peers. If leaders manage to avoid being truly accountable while in office, they will have to do so once they are out of power. Today, we all know there are enduring narratives about former presidents and former head of states like Generals Gowon, Murtala Muhammad, IBB, Abacha, Abdulsalami, and presidents like Obasanjo, Yar'Adua, Jonathan, and Buhari. For each of them, there are certain narratives and a legacy that continues to resonate, especially because they are out of office. So, there are those who believe that holding power gives them a license to act as they please. Audacity is good, but it is both useful for public and personal goods. However, if you don't use audacity to uplift your people, it ultimately amounts to little or nothing. Let us urge our senators, our governors, our lawmakers, political appointees, and even our president to recognize that accountability to those they serve, that is the people, is actually in their own best interest now and later. When leaders are accountable, it shows that they care for people and they fear God. When leaders are accountable, they will be prudent. When leaders are accountable, they have more restraint in the audacious use of power. This brings us to the issue of how political leaders are interrogated ahead of elections. For instance, why would the gubernatorial candidate of the APC in Edo State refuse an interview where he could easily explain his vision for the state? But he has precedent. As we saw, major party candidates like Obasanjo in 1999, Buhari in 2015, Tinubu in 2023, they all declined to have media presidential debates, unlike Chief MKO Abiola and Alhaji Bashir Tofa, who participated commendably in a presidential debate in 1993. Today, it has become a norm in our political culture for candidates to avoid accountability even before they are elected, and we must correct that. In fact, our presidential system allows a president to stay isolated in the villa, avoiding effective public scrutiny. This is why we as a people must consider moving away from this expensive presidential system towards a parliamentary system. In a parliamentary system, the head of government will be required to answer questions publicly and regularly in parliament as part of the official duties. But let's come back to accountability. 15 months now into the presidency of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he has yet to grant a proper press interview, even with TVC or the Nation newspaper, where he could demonstrate some genuine accountability to the Nigerian people. What is he afraid of? President Tinubu can sure talk, and he can talk better than his FCT minister, who does these media interviews every time. To Wike's credit, it is useful that our political leaders begin to rethink the true meaning of power and earn the trust of the people by making themselves accountable. Let us tell our dear political leaders, from the local governments all the way to the federal government, let's tell them the truth. Once your time is over, you will find out that a goldfish has no hiding place. There's no hiding from the record that you will leave behind for your children and for your associates. This is because, like someone once said, leadership is not about being in charge. Leadership is about taking care of those in your charge. Finally, let's say it again. When leaders are accountable, it shows that they care for people and that they fear God. When leaders are accountable, they will be prudent. When leaders are accountable, they are more restrained in the audacious use of power. And there you have my take for the week. Inside Sources will be right back. And today, we have two segments. Welcome back to Inside Sources. We have a very special guest. He's a journalist like myself, also a lawyer, political scientist, environmentalist. He's been Commissioner for Environment in Lagos in 3 administrations, starting from when the president was governor. He was also Commissioner under Governor Fashola and Governor Sanwo-Olu. And then he became the Secretary to the State Government under Governor Ambode. He's currently the Chairman of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. I'd like to welcome to Inside Sources, Mr. Tuji Bello.
Thank you very much. It's nice being here. Thank you very much.
Very well, very well. So you've been in the news, this week with this idea of trying to deal with what is clearly exorbitant pricing, because of the inflation and other things. So I wanted to ask you that meeting that you had with the stakeholders, who were the people in the meeting and how did it go? What actually happened at the meeting?
Well, thank you very much. And I appreciate for being invited. Yeah. Basically, we have to first of all understand the role of the FCCPC. Our primary task is first to promote and maintain competitive markets in Nigeria.
Right.
And also to help sustain economic efficiency. And then ensure that you maintain that there's no restrictive prices here and there in the market or in the trade transactions that people do.
Right.
So basically, and if you see that as our mission, we feel that our mission is to help ensure that there is fair competition amongst traders, so that the consumers, basically the interest of the commission is to protect the interest of consumer in the long run, so that they are not cheated, they are not unfairly exploited one way or the other. So based on that, we now look around, we did a survey around the country, and we found that in several markets, you have a group of people who come to the market and then trying to stop, trying to restrict the way people buy things or even trade. Even amongst themselves, there are people who come around and so on and so buy products from the market and ensure that maybe there's a bit of scarcity in the meantime.
So are they an association or?
Sometimes at the level of association, sometimes at the level of group of people or individuals and so on. So there's a collusion somewhere we found out. So we feel that. And
this was across the country, I'm sorry.
Across the country, based on our survey, Lagos, Kano, Kaduna, Port Harcourt, Onitsha, Ibadan, Osogbo, several places we've been to. We did a survey and it took us time to do this. So based on that, we now felt, look, we have a law that empowers us to stop these practices and so on. And with very, very stern measures on it. Either if you are found to be guilty of any of these practices and so on, you could be fined up to 10 million naira, Section 107 of the FCCPC Act, or you could go to jail for 3 months. We now felt, okay, there is no need to start applying the hard power now. Let us call the traders, the manufacturers, the middlemen, and so on. Let us call them to stakeholder meetings and so on. So, and let us engage them, let us discuss. But we know things are very difficult. We have inflation in the country, and so on. That was the basis of that stakeholders meeting. And at that stakeholders meeting, we tried to let them know, based on our investigations, these are some of the things we discovered in your markets. So please work out. I mean, we need to engage ourselves because we don't want to start breathing down your neck and start applying law and so on and so forth. So we engage one another and so on, and we give them the facts that we needed to stop all these acts. First of all, we are not a price control organization. We cannot control prices. But our own is also ensure there's fairness. We are not stopping traders from making profits. We cannot do that. If you want to promote free market, you cannot do that. So, but we are ensuring that. But we are not against profit. We are against profiteering, but we are not against people making profits. So, and that was the essence of calling that stakeholders meeting. So I can ensure fairness to Nigerian consumers. They are suffering a lot, and so on. We need, and as a government organization, we must be able to come in the middle to be able to see how we can manage the situation.
And it's very, very timely because, of course, like we all know, there's a lot of difficulty, hardship, in the country, occasioned by some of the policies that had to be taken. And reading that your report, I saw that you actually made an example of a particular product. I think it's called Ninja. A fruit blender. That was
sold for $89 in US.
For $89, but that is on sale in Nigeria for almost ₦1 million.
In fact, the interesting thing about that investigation was that when a week before, when we went to investigate, it was about 750,000. A week after, it became naira 44,000 naira. And that was a product that was sold in the United States for $89, and it was brought to Nigeria. So let's even say, if you look at the current exchange rate, that will come to around 140,000 naira. We are even saying, okay, let's even say you put it at 250,000 naira. Nobody will even mind. So we are trying to hedge against inflation. But to put it at almost 1 million naira, that's exploitative.
So what in your meeting with the stakeholders, the Traders Association, and the other people that you met, what was the explanation for that kind of behavior? Because clearly, Mr. Bello, part of the concern that we have, and this is my view, is that, of course, yes, there are very tough decisions that government has had to take. We could even say that, oh, maybe why did you do this on the part of government? But it seems that people also have a responsibility among ourselves to ensure that we don't take advantage of each other. That's why I wanted to know. So what did they say to you when you raised that kind of an example?
Oh, when we asked them, I said, everybody will try to defend themselves. So we now ask them, and so some of them were complaining about the bad roads, they were complaining about current inflationary trend, and some of them were complaining about insecurity and so on. And I said, come, let us look at it. As of last year, we have had bad roads in Nigeria in the last 15 years or so. And we thank God for the lot of improvement that was done last time, and also the present administration is also working a lot to improve some of the roads and so on. We have had insecurity the last almost 15, also over 15 years now too, as well. Nobody has really complained about that. As of last year, when there was still a bit of prices were still a bit low. We didn't hear about insecurity, and so people are not complaining that there was insecurity and so on. So because of the present inflationary trend, people are now beginning to abuse the situation. And we felt that no, you cannot be. We know the government is making serious efforts to improve on our conditions. Even recently, the government has even further lifted duties on some of the imports, particularly on food and drugs generally. So, and sooner or later, some of these things will come in and so on. But if you don't move in and stop people from engaging in these bad practices, you might have a situation that even despite the relief that the government is trying to provide, many of them may not even change. They might even continue to manipulate the situation and so on. So we are trying to guard against that and let them know and so on. So we told them that some of the problems you have, they've been with us for some time. And nobody would ever complain about that 2 years ago or 3 years ago. It's just now. You're now talking about, okay, security is causing this, inflation. So nobody can give that kind of excuse at this moment. Those are the things that we told them.
So do you get a sense that they are going to make changes What's kind of sense that you got in that meeting?
Well, we sent the message. We will continue to engage them, and that was why we gave timelines. Okay, we don't want to apply the law now. Let us engage one another. We are not against anybody making profits, but profiteering is a dangerous thing for our system. And if we don't curb it now, if you don't talk to one another and so on, it might just continue. At the end of the day, people might not have the necessary leave they require.
And with the current level of hardship in the country,
yes,
it will seem to be quite a very commendable move. But my concern now is that so you've raised the expectation of Nigerians.
Yes.
The media actually played it very big because it's something that touches almost everybody.
Yes.
Not only the people that are poor, even people that are not considered poor. They say there's been a reduction to their disposable income. But my question is that, so are you sure, Mr. Bello, that this is not just going to raise the expectation of people and then everything becomes business as usual? What's your plan, to see this through?
That's the first stakeholders meeting we held in Abuja.
Right.
Now, we are going to Lagos next week. We'll be going to Kano, we're going to Port Harcourt, we're going to Onitsha, we're going to Osogbo, we're going to Kaduna, we're going to Maduguri, we go to Makurdi, several places and so on, so that we can, and we're also trying to work with the states, our state liaisons. We have offices across the state.
Okay.
So we are asking them to work with the states,
with the local
leaders and so on. We've been talking to some of the local government chairmen, because if you look at the constitution, the market is under the jurisdiction of the local governments.
Right. Yeah.
So they have a lot to impact
in terms of the regulation,
regulation and so on. So we have to engage them too, as well so that they can do monitoring as well and continue to talk to the community leaders and so on. Recently, we must commend Oni of Ife. I was incident recently when he went to market in Ife. They sent a delegation to the market in Ife, and they met some of the middlemen who are trying to bridge the prices here and there and so on. And they were able to, talk to the market leaders and so on. And they were able to find a way to ensure fair prices across the market. Such things we need to do more. We need to carry it further to other places and so on. These are some of the things we are talking about. You don't have to apply the hard power. Right. Sometimes you need to use soft power. So because we know things are very difficult, and so this is only time to start talking about we must sanction you, we must do this and so. Let us talk to one another. So we are looking at that in the next 1 month. Let's see how fair, how far we can go with that, and see how we can ameliorate the situation.
Okay. All right. So if a particular group of traders now remain petulant and they are stubborn, are you going to take them to court? Are you, or you're going to, what are you going to close the market? I want an idea, of
our law is very clear. If you look at FCCPC Act of 2018, very, very, very clear. If you look at from section 107 to section 113 of the Acts, they listed a lot of a series of punishments. Whether you can be convicted after trial, you can be fined. These are, we have, they are heavy fines. It's not just a fine of 5,000 naira or something. Sometimes you don't need to millions of naira. We can close markets, we can do also. So we are empowered already. So we just feel that there's no need to start applying
and I understand that. My question to you is that, because knowing the nature of some people, there are those who are going to, still dare you. Are you prepared to close markets? Are you prepared to take them to court? I want to have an idea, because people's expectations have been raised.
It's a normal thing. It's a normal thing. We don't need to be told to sanction people. We don't need to be told, because the law is very clear on that. And we need to also we need to let people, Nigerians, know, so they can give us as much information wherever they see things happening and so on. We're moving.
Right.
So we apply both hard and soft power. So it's not necessarily that, because what we are doing now is to just engage beginning. Let's engage people across the nation to see how we can reach understanding and so on. Provide relief for Nigerians.
So very, very, very important move. And like I said, you're going to be going to other big markets.
So we are going around the country. We call stakeholders the markets across state. That's even particularly state A. Right. When we get there, we make sure that all the markets are represented by their leaders and so on. They are in Abuja, the one we did in Abuja, all different interest groups in different markets were invited. So market, even those selling clothes and all over, different interest groups and so on, even the wholesalers across different levels.
Interesting.
So it's not just one market, it's markets across the state. When you get to a state, we invite all interest groups in different markets across that state. Right. Their leaders will come together, we engage them, and so we listen to their problems. Some of the things we have to give the government feedback too, and say, okay, this is some of the things we found out, and so on. Perhaps government could do this
to help the situation. And that was where I was also going, that it will seem that there will also be a need for a whole government approach.
Yes.
Because I imagine that when we also look at the flip side, some of them, and I think I also read in the reports, there are also issues that some people say that, we took a loan, it's 30%, and some of the prices we have to use the replacement cost. So do you also plan to have an whole government approach, especially working on the what they call the environment, the business environment? Because to be fair, there are in fact legitimate.
Yeah, they are.
So if somebody goes to the bank and takes a loan at 30%, that is something that is already high. But to your point, those things have always been there.
They've always been there.
Yeah, but what my point now is that, are you going to make sure that there is a whole government approach? Because just like you said, there are things that FCCPC may not be able to do. You may have to get people in the Ministry of Industry and then the local state governments
to ensure that there is for instance, I know, the cost of petrol.
Right.
People buy, and so also impact on it. Because some of them are even saying the cost of transportation is very high, and so these are some of the things that we need to give the government a feedback to see how they can ameliorate the situation. And so there's also a lot to do on the government side, which we must get back to the government so that they can improve on some of the things we've had from them, some of their feelings and so on. On the issue of loan and in the banks and people, normally, before you go into a trade, you must find a means of how you get your resources to be able to do this.
Right.
And I feel that maybe in the process, in the art of doing that, you may need to appeal to the government. The interest rate is very high, so we are not able to obtain loan as we were doing before, and so on. So if there is a way that can be done, the CBN governor can be appealed to and spoken to, so that can be done. These are some of the feedback we will give.
We
can share with our colleagues in government and let them see the country. Yeah.
Okay. So the other thing I wanted to ask you is, first of all, I wanted to know, what are your own plans? You just taken office a couple months, and then especially in the area of making Nigerians to be aware, of the existence of this kind of agency that is meant to ensure that there are good competitive rules being enforced, and then to protect consumers. It's a very important and very powerful mandate. But what are you going to do to ensure that the Nigerians, who should benefit from your mandate, are more aware of the existence of the organization, so that it will also they can also give you information about what is happening on a regular basis in the market?
Oh yes. One of the things we are doing is also to do a lot of promo. We need to enlighten Nigerians, because we need information. You can't be everywhere and see everywhere. You can't be in Karan and Moda, and at the same time you are somewhere in Ekiti, and also you can't. So we need feedback from them to tell us. We need Nigerians. We need those who go into the market and so on to give us feedback and so on. We can't have personnel everywhere in Nigeria. So we must constantly do that. So we need to publicize our activities more. We must. The FCCP has done very well in the past. In different areas. We must commend them for a good work. Where the commission has done very well. But we now need to let Nigerians know, particularly the lower rung of the ladder of the markets.
Right.
Because many consumers and ordinary consumers, when they buy pure water, they buy yam, and many of them may not even be aware that there's an FCCPC that's supposed to protect their interests.
Exactly.
And so we need to let them know more about it. So if you feel offended one way or the other and so on, you feel that certain things can be done, give us feedback. How do you give that feedback? we have to establish different levels of information sharing at the local government level, at the state level, and at the federal level, so that we can share it and so on. And then also create a platform by which they can express, and then investigation can also be done, and then take action, necessary action.
Okay. Thank you so much. As we begin to wrap up because of our time, you have been a long time associate of the president.
Yes.
You served in his cabinet when he was governor.
Yes.
You were commissioner for environment.
Yes.
I also know that because I've known you for a while too.
Yes.
You're also an associate of Chief M.K. Abiola.
Yes.
So you've been in this game for a long time.
Yeah.
My question to you is that there are a lot of people that are worried that the Bola Ahmed Tinubu that they knew is different from the one that is now president. How do you respond to that? Or have you even picked up yourself?
No. What I know about our president is that is somebody who will always fight for the interest of Nigerians at any given time. Looks like he did excellently well in Lagos. Everybody, and considering what he has contributed to the development of Lagos, it's a very remarkable thing. And expectation is that he will do the same thing in Nigeria. But Nigeria is a different thing entirely. So we should not expect that because it was what you did in Lagos, you should come and do the same thing. First of all, you have to refer federal character in Nigeria when you get to the center. There's something like federal character in Lagos. So that in itself is so that some of the things you have to surmount. You have to consider the interests of different areas. You cannot just come out and say what works here must work here. So it has to be properly studied. And then he came in, inherited gargantuan problems. Problem of infrastructure, problem of petroleum pricing and different things entirely. Insecurity. Yeah. These are problems that this cannot be surmounted in 1 year. And then you have the labor issues here and there and so. If you ask me, I would say he has done very well. And we need to look at maybe calibrate in some areas and see how we can continue. For instance, he's a listening president. If you say a listening president, he listened to labor. When the labor agitated for increase in labor, he responded.
That's true.
And when people were complaining of high pricing and so on, he quickly went and reduced okay, let us try and import in the short term to try and soften the level. So that shows that you have a listening president who is ready to meet Nigerians at the middle ground.
At the point of their needs.
At the point of their needs. So for me, I think that's the kind of president you need. And I think we're going to see a lot of improvements. Right. We're going to see a lot of improvement as we move on. We just spent 1 year. Only God can perform excellently well. In 1 year, given the amount of problem we've seen, and so we should, and I think people still need to give him a lot of time. In the next 2-3 years, I believe that we'll see a lot of changes as we move on.
Well, clearly, I also believe that he has laid out quite a number of very useful ideas. My own worry is that the government needs to show a little bit more of empathy and, some kind of austerity measures, because if you are asking the people to tighten their belts and they don't think you are tightening yours, they don't think that you're on the same team. So I think that the president needs to give an impression to Nigerians to know that, look, we're in this together.
Well, I think the government, in a way, for instance, government stopped a lot of travelers just to reduce the cost of it. They are reducing costs here and there. In certain instances. For instance, for people, for ministers, other government, other executives in government and so on, the president stopped that. He restricted the number of people that can go on the delegation. That for me is fair enough. It shows a government that is concerned and so on. And there are also different areas. The president has also, the way the money was being spent before has totally changed. Yeah. People do just, in the past, people will just get allocation of money and then without even spending, some of them will, you won't see what they've done with the money and so. But now, for you to even spend money, you have to justify it. There are a lot of monitoring with the monitoring units put in place to checkmate.
Right.
The way the money was being spent before, you cannot say the money, that kind of money is being spent now. You have to justify it. There has to be proper justification for you to execute. If you want to execute a road, or to execute certain things and so on, there must be you must follow the proper procedure for doing it. It's not that because your ministry has budgeted 20 billion this year, so in the first quarter they will just give you 5 billion, then you go and spend it without justification. For now, there is a central force trying to ensure that if you are going to spend money on behalf of Nigerians, it has to be properly spent. Right. And that for me is the right way to go.
To do it. I'm not going to press you hard because you're not the Minister of Information. But whenever you see the president, please encourage him that he should show more empathy with Nigerians. Let him do more things so that Nigerians will know that they and himself are in the same boat together. Thank you so much, Mr. Tunji Bello, for coming to Inside Sources. Thank you for your services. First as a journalist with the Concord. I remember that when we were in school, we used to say, one day we will write like Tunji Bello.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming to Inside Sources. Thank you for your service to the country.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Inside Sources will be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back to Inside Sources. The PMS pump price of fuel has gone up. It's now about 850 naira per liter, but there's even scarcity. NNPC says they have a debt of about 6 billion, and there are all kinds of issues that we want to really unravel today. And to join me in that conversation, we have an oil and gas expert, Henry Adigun. Welcome back to Inside Sources, Henry.
Thank you, sir.
Right. So if you look at where things are today, not only do we have fuel scarcity, the prices have gone up. What do you think is going on in your own view? Let's open the conversation that way.
Well, the challenge we have is not complicated. We have a problem with our policy choices and our policy making process and our communication with the public. Last year, May, the president announced subsidy was gone. And it was gone for 2 months. Then he devalued the currency, subsidy came back. And government kept on denying the subsidy. Yet only NNPC was importing because only NNPC can afford to pay subsidy. Right. They can use, initially, they used to use crude to ameliorate that. But now they can't do that anymore because crude sales now goes to CBN accounts. So then the debt started piling up. By February, March, we had a report that suppliers are backing out because NNPC hadn't paid them. So we're owing money. Again, NNPC denied that. NNPC said they were not owing anybody. Again, which is the funny part of the whole situation. NNPC said no, they're able to meet obligations. They had a full tank of or something somewhere that could meet 30 months supply. And everybody was asking where it was. Nobody saw where it was. Then we moved on again. We said there's a crisis coming on. There's no petrol. And you are not bringing anything in. Then Dangote issues came along. Then we got to this complicated issue now. A point where NNPC now admits, after months of denial, that they owe $6 billion. Government now admits that they have been subsidizing, although they say it in a very technical way. We're selling it at less than market prices. What does that mean? I mean, the same way when another government before was saying under recovery and over recovery. And this is subsidy now. I mean, somebody's paying the price. So now you've now increased prices now to a problem. But every time there's a disruption in supply, it takes a minimum of 3 weeks to turn it around. Now, even with Dangote, which he has pumping into the market, he has produced it, but not in the market yet. To get to the market will take him another 2 weeks. It doesn't work that way. You just don't start producing and then it's in the market. So he's saying FEC will determine how much he will sell, which again tells you market distortion. So we're at a problem of interplay of wrong policies, wrong choices, crass dishonesty, and corruption.
So quite a lot of issues, and I want us to take it one after the other. So let's explain to Nigerians, how it is that the fact that NNPC is now making remittances to the CBN might be responsible for where things are,
Well, that's part of it, because before NNPC used to defray the cost of subsidy by taking the difference from the crude sales. So NNPC sells crude on behalf of Nigeria or Nigeria's crude. And NNPC has domestic allocation of 455,000 barrels for local refineries. So what NNPC used to do in the past was when they sell the crude, they will take out the costs of production, take out the cost of importing petrol, then remit the differentials to the government at their own determined exchange rate.
Okay.
So the government was basically losing a lot of money.
Which was the issue, right?
It was a big issue. Now, some government later came up and said, no, you can't be doing that. Stop deferring the cost. Put the money for crude sales into NNPC's SCB's account. Now, legally, going by KAMA, because NNPC is under KAMA now, under the PIE.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be possible.
So NNPC shouldn't have to remit.
No, they didn't have to. The NNPC
after
they didn't.
After it became
a KAMA company.
Yeah.
Under KAMA, NNPC should be governed by a board, and NNPC should be run as a transparent administration.
So it will seem that we have some policy distortions, because I know that when NNPC was not limited, there was even the issue, of, look, how do you guys, this transaction of, this swap that you do, nobody knows how much do you buy it, how much dollars do you spend. So there was some kind of, suspicion of what was going on, which NNPC was not open about. NNPC was not forthcoming. Now, that was before it became a limited.
Yes.
Now it has become a limited. And now this government says, well, look, I mean, you have to do this. Yeah. So how do you explain that in terms of, do we really know what we want?
We know what we want,
really.
But we see, we don't want to do what we want. Well, we know what we need, but we don't want to do what we need. We want to do what we want. Biggest challenge. They started with swaps. That's what happened. Then we moved to DSDP, direct to direct purchase, which was
can you explain to our viewers the difference between swap and DS?
It's just English in real times. So under swap arrangements, NNPC will take crude, look for some refineries, and get what is could be the equivalent of the products from any other place
in refined
products and bring to Nigeria.
Right.
Now under direct to direct purchase, NNPC would only sell the same value of crude to the refinery giving it products, which should make it easier for transparency. So if refinery in Asia is giving me petrol and its cost of it is $10,000,
right,
I'll give him crude of $10,000. So we will match on currency. Okay. That's what the idea was.
That's
direct to direct purchase.
Okay.
So direct sale, direct purchase.
All right.
Then governments now said, okay, this is not working. We move subsidy. When you move subsidy in any petroleum, I ask people all this. When last did you hear about diesel scarcity? There's never diesel scarcity. Diesel prices fluctuate, can go high, can go up, but it's not scarce anymore. Since with the regular diesel supplies, a lot of the oligarchs left diesel because they wasn't making crazy money anymore. Yeah,
so let's take it from that issue of the pricing of the product. Governor Donald Duke, the former governor of Cross River, said, last week on Inside Sources, this program, he said that, look, if we have essentially that Nigeria has crude oil, we need refined petrol from crude oil locally, that it should be possible for us to remove the crude oil that we need for our local consumption. It should be possible for us to delink it from the international pricing. Because if it belongs to us, why must we subject it to the perils and whatever it is of international marketing, which then gives us a problem and the intricacies, the intrigues of subsidy?
You have a production process where you get a marginal field or an OML or whatever you get, you pay it for it in dollars. You have to rent a rig. There's no rig locally in Nigeria. A rig costs you between $100,000 related to $1 million a day, dollars. You have service value costs, dollars. You have international partners, dollars. Where do you delist it?
But the thing is that, so
after you've produced
can't those things now be the ones that we instead of spending money on subsidy, can't those things be the ones that the government can actually eat up those expenses?
All you've done is change where you're putting the subsidy. You're putting it in production. It doesn't change anything.
Doesn't he reduce the cost, take away the corruption, and ensures that the Nigerians get it cheaper?
The problem is inefficiencies. I tell it to you, let me explain to you again. In Saudi Arabia, they produce a barrel at $10. In Nigeria, a barrel is $40. Same oil. Now you can agree terrain, geography, and co. But where is the extra $38 for Nigeria? From? Security, corruption, inefficiencies. Now, if you can produce a barrel cheaper, then you might not have to follow that argument you're talking about. Because it's the same barrel that's produced in Libya at $11, even with the war.
Right.
When you have one of the highest costs of production in the world, You're not talking about the exchange rate as a factor. You're talking about inefficiencies in the value chain. Now, when it says, okay, do that, why did you join OPEC? When you're a member of a cartel, you join to protect you from this kind of issues. Nigeria is a member of OPEC. We can try to leave OPEC now. And leave OPEC, we can sell our crude at any price. We can sell it at Naira. We can sell it at $10, $30. But we joined OPEC because we wanted protection from the price exchange. People keep forgetting. There was a time when the opportunity came in, the price of a barrel was $12 to $18. At one point, it was even $11.
In 99.
Yes. People forget that. That up to 2003, a barrel was $34. When did it start spiking up again? When we had a sort of a war, and then it started going to 80, then 106 under Jonathan administration.
Yeah.
So any commodity that's a global commodity, like cocoa, like crude, like palm oil, like rice, are all subject to international vagaries. We're living in a world market. So if you say you are taking the crude locally, is refining cost all local? The additives you add to produce petrol, are they local in Naira too? If you get a barrel of crude, to refine a barrel of crude is between $3 and $4 per barrel. At very high cost, $5 per barrel to refine a barrel of crude. At the breakdown of each product you're producing, there is additives to make it. It's not just a crude and heat stop. That's what they do in local refinery. They just heat up the crude and then take out diesel, which is just take out. But to get to the kind of quality we want, you have additives. Dangote's product, which is showed on TV, is almost pure white. It's what they call Euro 5. Euro 5 is 10 million liters, 10 ppm.
Yeah.
And
Dangote said that is better quality.
It's the best quality in the world. That's European standards. That costs money to do. The more the quality of a product, the more you've added rice to it. The reason why Mr. Donald Duke's rice, Uncle Ben's rice, when I was importing Uncle Ben's rice, was better than other rice. Because Uncle Ben's rice was very high polished. And Uncle Ben's rice came from abroad to Nigeria too. We have local rice in the value chain here. But the more value you add to it, you can't. So when people make that argument of, I'm saying you can just decide to subsidize what you want to subsidize. There's nothing wrong with subsidy. The issue here is not about the cost of it. The point about subsidy is affordability.
On the part of the government.
When Nigeria can afford subsidy, what is wrong with it? Every country subsidizes something, either food or agriculture or railway or everything. You lived in the US for a long time. You know what I'm talking about. So it's whether you can afford it. Now, whether you can afford it and not grow corruption. So you say bring it in Naira, give it to a refinery in Naira. Good. All good and well. Who pays an NPC for its own dollars, which to extract it?
So what happens to that?
That's the point I'm making. Who's going to pay for that? So NNPC has joint ventures with companies where they own 60-40%, or they have PSCs or service contracts. A rig costs. I can spend up to $35 million on a rig. In Nigeria now, we have 11 rigs working. 11. Sometimes we have 3, 4. The number of hours we have determines the number of rigs we have. When you have those costs and they're incurred in dollars, it's a dollar-denominated business worldwide. So when you say, the argument Nigeria can decide, it can be a decision you make. All you have to do is change your exchange rates and pay it in Naira. Even the so-called Naira sale to Dangote is still mired in controversy because there's a guarantor, Afrexim Bank. So Nigeria pays to Afrexim Bank Naira. Afrexim Bank pays Dangote dollars. Dangote is not going to sell to you in Naira. He has debts to pay. He took a loan, $11 billion for his refinery. He took $19 billion. Equity was about 6.7.
So what was the use of Afrexim,
as a guarantor for dollars?
They will be a guarantor to...
You're taking another loan.
Okay.
They guaranteed you the first loan, which they took out at 89 barrels per barrel. Now they're going to hand you it's another loan specifically because you don't have any. The reason you are doing all this is because you don't have money in your reserves.
Well, it's useful if there's going to be a benefit to the Nigerian people, and that's what I want us to now look at. So now Dangote has said that look at it. We have the petrol. You have even confirmed that it's correct. It's the best quality. How are Nigerians going to benefit? Is the price going to come down? I guess we can say that there will be availability. I think that's easy to say. But will the price come down? Now,
Nigerians are expecting a 400 naira per liter Dangote petrol. And that's what they're saying in the streets. It's going to be 400 naira, 500 naira per liter. And I'm like, why do we like deluding ourselves?
No, how did they come up to it?
Well, because of, the way the Nigerians always have a belief. Whenever you are on air or you're anywhere, I tell them that the cost of transportation is negligible in product prices. They get angry. They will tell you, oh, it's the economics of bushness. Oh, it's yam in my local market. I didn't export it. Why is yam not cheaper in Nigeria? I can say the yam in London is not 10 as yam in America. And I'm looking at them like, that's not how it works in crude. Every business has its own markers and how it works. When you are bringing crude into any country, you deliver X cost. So every cost is embedded within that barrel of crude. It's not outside the barrel of crude. Now, were your pipeline networks working efficiently? Yeah, it might be much, much cheaper. But remember that the tankers that will carry the crude from Lagos to Abuja to Ibadan use diesel. And diesel is not free. Remember that?
Right.
And that in some stations that they'll pump it, they use generators, use diesel. It's not free. All these are costs. These are all part of the inefficiencies in the system. So even Dangote produces, let's say it comes out at 730 naira.
Right.
Let's assume that. And he has a gantry. Gantry is where you can load crude directly without going through depot. Right. So he has a gantry, one of the best in the world as well, where a lot of tankers can go there and load directly.
He has the gantry in the
refinery. He built a very, very good gantry. He can load 130 trucks per minute or per hour. So it's it's a fantastic investment. But then he has cost too, because the crude is given to him at a cost. Remember I told you that he's going to get the crude from NNPC or from other parts. Right. But he's even only got only 40% of that crude he needs. He's spending money to buy the crude from America and co, which is
to make up.
To make up. Not even only to make up. The refinery is a single trade refinery.
Right.
You can't use only one crude to produce all products. The refining margins are different. This is technical in a way. Right. So he has to blend crude. He has to blend American crude with Nigeria. That's why even if Nigeria gives him 1,000 barrels, he starts import crude. He has to blend different crudes together. So when you blend different crudes together for different products, because the weights, Nigerian crude has one that's very good, has some that's not very good, has some that is lighter in component.
So the point, and before you finish, is that so even if NNPC is able to give Dangote as much as he wants, he will still have to get.
Oh, he has to import.
Yeah, he still has to import.
Oh, yes, yes.
Important point.
He has to import. People shouldn't forget about that. Look, Nigeria's share of the crude is not 1.3 million barrels that we produce. Nigeria's share of the crude is after everybody has taken their crude.
And that's the JVC partners.
JVC, the PSCs, everybody takes their own share of the crude because we're in the business.
Right.
You're not bringing money. NNPC owes you money sometimes. I mean, being fair to this government, they paid up a lot of debts on the JVs.
Right.
But there were debts. At one time, the JV debts were up to $3.5 billion.
Yeah.
So they paid a substantial part of it now.
Right, right.
But you still have to now bring that crude in, import it. And I keep on telling everybody, the man did not take the loan in naira.
That's Dangote.
Yes, he took a loan in dollars.
Interesting.
And he has to pay these loans back. He didn't take the loans all locally. And the people that took the loans denominated the loans in dollars. So if you tell him to now sell it to you in naira, that means you take all the naira and start paying dollars. What do you think will happen to exchange rate again? When there's more naira pursuing your dollars. It's going to go higher again.
Yeah.
So whatever savings you think you've made in this exchange thing is dead. And that's why Afro-Exim Bank is as mid-bank. So you give them, get Dangote dollars. We give you naira. Now how that's going to work, I do not know. But our Exim Bank will get its own dollars back. But that's how it's going to work.
Maybe forward sale. Maybe they will also get some.
That's why we have no petrol. That's why we have no crude. We've done forward sales to the point that we only have 220,000 barrels left unimpaired. We've done forward sales to get money for the government to finance this, to finance that. There's almost no crude available for any other thing.
Interesting. So, but you think that Dangote might be able to sell around 700?
He cannot. I did the mathematics of his refinery, and I said it in the meeting we had with his people and his team, that there is no way your petrol will come out at less than 850.
Which is the new price that...
it can't be less. That's coming out. Not, there's distribution, the retail cost, the other cost there. Because the point is not, look, the refinery margins are very low. It's between 0.8 and 1.3 in the best of climes. That's why refiners, when all crude prices go beyond $60, they make losses. Because it's a marginal business. Whenever there's a marginal business, a simple cost in the price of input takes away your profit. Same thing with airways. You close an airline down for 2 days, then the airline collapses.
Okay, I want us to talk about, so what kind of reforms do you think we have to have in NNPC and in the oil and gas sector to deal with the major issues of corruption in the system, in your view?
My view, the simple thing is, NNPC is a creation of government. The corruption is aided by government. no government, in sincerity, wants an NNPC to be free of corruption. An NNPC free of corruption takes away their petty cash.
But if we're able to solve, and I want us to make this point very clear, even if it's the truth, if we're able to solve the problem of corruption in NNPC and the oil and gas sector, is this not an advantage to the Nigerian people?
Yes, but who is the Nigerian people? The Nigerian people are different from the Nigerian state.
The Nigerian state is meant to serve the Nigerian people.
Well, the Nigerian state has never served the Nigerian people. Every government has mouth NNPC reforms. The reason why we spent 21 years to pass the PIA was because of what I'm talking about. Obasanjo started the PIA journey. We got it completed under Buhari. Mr. Tinubu hasn't implemented the PIA properly for the same reasons. Why do you have an NNPC under Kama? And you are tampering with every day. You're giving directives to it. You're running as if you're running an NNPC of old. Nothing has changed on surface. What has changed is that there's a law now not being followed. And that's the problem we have. So nobody is not in their interests. They're meaning the state to make NNPC work. So NNPC is a victim.
But ultimately, the people in government, you know, they have to go through quite a lot of nightmares, even as things are now. There is no fuel. The prices have gone up. There's going to be inflation. There's going to be tension. You know, those are problems for the people in the state. That's why I thought that, look, if we are supposed to push the reforms in NNPC, everybody can ask for peace.
I like what you said, sir. But the question the people always ask is, why should it be us to do that?
That's the people in government.
Yeah. When the other people didn't do it, it's our turn now. The basic mentality and construct of it's our turn is not for a problem-solving solution. Whenever the crafting of a narrative of my reason for being in power is based on it's my turn and it's a nation or whatever, then you're not talking about solving problems. You're solving about empowerment and whatever needs you need to capture power for. Now, so I'm being frank because this is we can be allowed to do that.
Right.
Now, if you came to solve problems, there are things you will do, which is your question. First of all, you would implement the PI properly. A good PI implementation will reduce NNPC problem by 50%.
We do what?
We reduce NNPC corruption 50%.
Okay, those are the things. So I mean, what are those major things that has to change?
So when NNPC is under Kama, get a good board into NNPC. Get a good leadership into NNPC. Let it run like a private company. Give it no subventions. Give it no exclusiveness. Sell, or I have said it several times, and I keep on wondering, why does Nigeria have to borrow money when they could sell their shares in JVs? Your JVs are the most inefficient in the world. Any JV, in most JVs right now, is a cesspool of corruption. It's a dumping ground. The IOCs cheat us.
Because they are the ones that tell us how much oil is lifted.
One, they also bring the money to run the joint ventures in most cases. So if I'm bringing the money to run a business, then I find ways of scalding you.
Yeah.
Why do you have joint ventures anymore?
There are even ways that there is what they call the illicit transfer of.
Let me tell you a true story, and I will not tell you how I know this. A company has just divested out of Nigeria. In less than 3 days, production has ramped up by 49%. What has the new owners done differently? Nothing.
Production ramped up 49%
in 3 days.
So there's a rise in production.
Correct. Because
of a divestment of a particular.
Correct.
So which meant that they have been cheating us, blue and black.
It's simple English.
Okay, because of our time, let's talk about the problem of smuggling.
Yes.
Which is also a big deal in this matter. For instance, is the reason why we have this overinflated quantity of daily consumption. I imagine, you have said that for there was a time for 36 or the city, and you even said during election it goes up to 100.
Or 98.
So that is essentially because of smuggling.
Yes.
Now, why is that such a big problem to nip in the bud? You are an expert in.
Well, I mean, it's not there are some things that every president that comes in always comes and says the problem is corruption. Your government, with apologies, also said the same thing when they came initially. Always corruption. But they soon realized that you can't fight that corruption. Look, it's like cocaine and drugs. America has been fighting cocaine and co-entering their borders since under the contra regime of Reagan and co.
Right.
Nothing has changed. Or it's reduced. Whenever you have such a price differential, the incentives are too high to fight with systems in place. How come when we did the first price equalization under the Buhari regime, 2016, the consumption in Nigeria went down 24 million liters.
The The consumption.
In Nigeria, when $25, we went from 60 million to 34.
So because we were able to cut the...
Because there was no waste.
Yeah.
It didn't make any difference for people in Togo, Benin Republic to take our petrol because it was the same price.
Right.
So in that way, we had no problems.
Right.
If you equalize price today, that's make price across the border, then you find out you consume much less. In fact, we will go down to like 29, 30 million liters per day.
Interesting.
That is the truth. Anytime we raise price in Nigeria, they raise price in Togo, in Benin Republic, in coal, because it's the same market they're buying from.
Yeah.
Find out today, price went up as soon as raised prices because it's the same product.
Right.
So unless you price properly, you give no incentive. Now, what I hope Dangote will do, if allowed.
He said that he will put tracking in his trucks.
Well, that's his own trucks now. It's only his trucks that are bringing petrol. He can only bring 25 million liters of petrol in now. We consume 36, 49, 50. Somebody will bring out the difference. It's not an exclusive supplier. But didn't PFF trackers. PFF trackers, under PEF, after we did the reforms under the Obasanjo regime, there were trackers in petrol. We even invested money in the software, Aquila. Aquila spent $1 million in Aquila to tell you where petrol went to. Why didn't it change anything?
Wow.
When I heard it, I was like, we've done this before.
Interesting. So tracking wouldn't...
But it doesn't change anything. What's tracking? I can put the tracker on the petrol tank. I can take it on the car and put it there. Dangote is a businessman. He's not a policyman. If Dangote's tanker goes and makes the money for the tank he took, why will he care about where it goes to? Is this his job to protect Nigerian borders? Does he have any incentive? I'm asking the question.
Yeah,
he has no incentive. The incentive Dangote has is to make profit. So if they'll take his tank of petroleum and take it to Kutu Enji or Nigeria Republic or wherever, in as much as the money comes back complete,
it's good for him. Yeah. Okay, Henry Adigun, oil and gas expert, thank you so much. Our time is fast spent. I'm sure that this is a conversation that we will still find time to continue. And there you have it, another edition of Inside Sources. Like we always say, we believe in Nigeria. We believe that Nigeria will prevail, and that is why we're here. Thank you for watching. My name is Laudua Konde, and I'll see you at the next edition.